August 10th, 2019, Manhattan, 6:30 a.m. Guards at the Metropolitan Correctional Center walk the corridor of Special Housing Unit 9 South. They stop at cell 25. The man inside is Jeffrey Epstein, convicted sex offender, suspected intelligence asset, and the single most dangerous witness in American legal history. He knows the secrets of presidents, princes, prime ministers, and billionaires. In 3 weeks, he faces federal trial on sex trafficking charges that could expose every one of them. The guards look through the window. Epstein is hanging from his bunk by a bedsheet. His knees are bent. His feet touch the floor. Within hours, the official verdict is suicide. But here's what the cameras recorded the night before. Nothing. The surveillance system covering Epstein's cell in one of the most secure federal facilities in America malfunctioned. The 2 guards assigned to check on him every 30 minutes had both fallen asleep. His cellmate had been transferred the previous day. The man who knew every secret was dead. Every camera failed. Every guard slept. Every protocol collapsed simultaneously. Was it suicide? Was it murder? And who had the most to lose if Jeffrey Epstein ever testified? This is the story of a failed math teacher who became a billionaire, built a network that blackmailed the most powerful people on Earth, and died in the most convenient prison cell in American history. Welcome back to Covert Case Histories. Jeffrey Edward Epstein is born January 20th, 1953, in Brooklyn, New York. Working-class family, Coney Island neighborhood. His father maintains parks for the city. Nothing about his childhood suggests what's coming. But Epstein is exceptional at 2 things: mathematics and reading people. By 20, he drops out of Cooper Union College. By 21, he's teaching calculus and physics at the Dalton School, an elite Manhattan prep school where tuition costs more than most people's annual salary. Here, for the first time, Epstein sees how the other half lives. Old money, inherited power, connections that open doors ordinary people don't know exist. He wants in. In 1976, a Dalton parent named Alan Greenberg, CEO of Bear Stearns, one of Wall Street's most powerful investment banks, offers Epstein a job. No finance degree, no experience, just a phone call from the right parent. Epstein thrives. By 1980, he's a full partner at Bear Stearns. By 1981, he's forced out, officially for violating company regulations. The details remain murky, but he leaves with something more valuable than his salary: a list of contacts. Wealthy, powerful, influential contacts who need someone discreet to manage their money. In 1982, Epstein founds J. Epstein and Company. The business model is unusual. He only accepts clients with $1 billion or more in assets. No smaller accounts, no institutional money, just ultra high net worth individuals who need financial advice handled quietly. There's just one problem. No one can identify a single legitimate client. For the next decade, Epstein's wealth grows exponentially. He buys a Manhattan townhouse, one of the largest private residences in New York City, 40 rooms, 9 bathrooms. He buys a private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands called Little St. James, a ranch in New Mexico, a private jet, a helicopter, properties in Paris and Palm Beach. Where is the money coming from? No one asks. Because in Epstein's world, the people who could ask are the ones he's protecting. By the early 1990s, Epstein has become something no one can quite define. Not quite a banker, not quite a socialite, not quite an intelligence operative, but somehow present everywhere power concentrates. His connection to power accelerates through one person, Ghislaine Maxwell, the daughter of British media mogul Robert Maxwell, himself a suspected Mossad intelligence asset who died under mysterious circumstances in 1991, found floating off his yacht near the Canary Islands. Ghislaine arrives in New York in 1992 after her father's death. She's connected, charming, and needs a protector. Epstein needs someone who can move through elite circles without suspicion. They become inseparable. Through Maxwell, Epstein gains access to Britain's highest social circles. Through his own financial connections, he penetrates American political power. His contact list reads like a who's who of global influence. Prince Andrew, Duke of York, Queen Elizabeth's second son, Bill Clinton, 42nd President of the United States, who flew on Epstein's private jet 26 documented times. Donald Trump, who called Epstein a terrific guy in 2002. Alan Dershowitz, Harvard law professor and one of America's most prominent defense attorneys. Lawrence Summers, former Treasury Secretary. Bill Gates, who met with Epstein multiple times after his 2008 conviction. The flight logs from Epstein's Boeing 727, nicknamed the Lolita Express by the press, document hundreds of trips carrying the world's most powerful men to his private island. What happened on Little St. James? The full truth remains protected by sealed court documents. But what we know from testimony and court records is this: Epstein ran a sophisticated trafficking operation. Young women and girls were recruited, transported, and exploited, and powerful men were there. The question law enforcement would eventually ask: was Epstein running this operation for personal gratification, or was he collecting something more valuable than pleasure? Here's where Epstein's story moves from crime to conspiracy. Multiple intelligence analysts, journalists, and former government officials have publicly stated that Epstein's operation bore the hallmarks of an intelligence-gathering program. Former senior Israeli intelligence official Ari Ben-Menashe claimed in 2019 that both Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell worked for Israeli intelligence. Maxwell's father, Robert, had documented ties to Mossad, and Epstein's financial empire, with no identifiable legitimate clients, needed a funding source. The theory, supported by circumstantial evidence but never proven in court, Epstein's island and properties were honeypots, locations where powerful men were compromised, filmed, and documented. The information collected became leverage, ensuring cooperation, protecting certain interests, maintaining influence over politicians and decision-makers across multiple countries. Former FBI Director Louis Freeh was later hired to defend one of Epstein's associates. CIA Director William Barr, whose father Donald Barr hired Epstein at Dalton in 1974, was U.S. Attorney General when Epstein died in federal custody. Whether these connections are coincidence or conspiracy, one thing is documented: Epstein received extraordinary protection from the American justice system for decades. 2005, Palm Beach, Florida. A local detective receives a tip from a parent. Their 14-year-old daughter was paid to give massages at Epstein's Palm Beach mansion. The investigation expands. By 2006, Palm Beach police have identified over 30 potential victims. They refer the case to the FBI. The federal investigation is extensive. Agents identify more than 40 young women. Evidence is overwhelming. Prosecutors prepare to charge Epstein with multiple counts of sex trafficking, charges that could send him to federal prison for life. Then something extraordinary happens. In 2008, U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta, a George W. Bush appointee, meets secretly with Epstein's lawyers. What happens in that meeting will later be described by a federal judge as a violation of federal law. The result? A non-prosecution agreement. A secret deal. Epstein pleads guilty to 2 state charges: solicitation of prostitution and procuring a minor for prostitution. He receives 18 months in county jail. He serves 13 months. And here's the most extraordinary part. He's allowed to leave the jail 6 days a week on work release, returning each evening. The federal charges vanish. His co-conspirators receive immunity. The victims are never told about the deal, a direct violation of the Crime Victims' Rights Act. When asked why he agreed to such a lenient deal, Acosta later says, "I was told Epstein belonged to intelligence." Belonged to intelligence. 4 words that explain everything and confirm nothing. July 6, 2019, Teterboro Airport, New Jersey. 11 years after his sweetheart deal, FBI agents arrest Jeffrey Epstein as he lands from Paris. New evidence has emerged. New victims have come forward. New prosecutors have reviewed the case and decided the 2008 deal cannot stand. Epstein is charged with 1 count of sex trafficking of minors and 1 count of conspiracy to commit sex trafficking. He faces up to 45 years in federal prison. This time, prosecutors have seized computers, hard drives, and physical evidence from his Manhattan townhouse. Safe deposit boxes containing diamonds, stacks of cash, and crucially, a trove of photographs and recordings. What's on those recordings? Who appears in those photographs? The answer dies with Epstein on August 10th, 2019. The official verdict is suicide by hanging. The New York City Medical Examiner rules it definitively, but the forensic pathologist hired by Epstein's brother, Dr. Michael Baden, one of America's most experienced forensic experts, reviews the evidence and reaches a different conclusion. He identifies multiple fractures in Epstein's neck bones, including the hyoid bone. These fractures, he states, are more consistent with homicidal strangulation than suicide by hanging. The inconsistencies multiply. The 2 guards assigned to check on Epstein every 30 minutes both fell asleep simultaneously. Both were later discovered to have been working extreme overtime shifts. One had worked 5 consecutive days of overtime. Surveillance cameras covering his cell malfunctioned. His cellmate was transferred the day before his death. He had been removed from suicide watch just days earlier, despite a previous incident in his cell. And despite being one of the highest-profile federal prisoners in American history, no senior staff were present that night. The evidence from his cell, the bed sheet, physical evidence, complete forensic documentation, goes missing from official records. In November 2019, Ghislaine Maxwell is arrested. She faces 6 charges of sex trafficking and conspiracy. In December 2021, she's convicted on 5 of 6 counts. She's sentenced to 20 years in prison. But Maxwell, who knows every client, every name, every date, every location, refuses to cooperate with prosecutors. The names on Epstein's client list remain sealed. Dozens of court documents remain classified. The identities of the most powerful people in Epstein's network remain protected. By whom and why? Jeffrey Epstein accumulated a $577 million fortune with no identifiable source of legitimate income. He built a network connecting presidents, princes, intelligence directors, and billionaires. He survived one federal investigation through a secret deal that prosecutors called illegal. He died in a federal prison where every security system failed simultaneously on the same night. His death closed the investigation, sealed the evidence, protected the names. Ghislaine Maxwell sits in prison knowing everything and saying nothing. Hundreds of documents remain sealed by court order. The full client list has never been released. The source of Epstein's wealth has never been explained. The contents of his safes have never been publicly disclosed. And somewhere, In sealed courtrooms and classified files, the truth about the most powerful blackmail network in modern history waits. Some prisons don't hold criminals, they hold secrets. And the most dangerous secret in American history died in cell 25. While the cameras failed, the guards slept, and the world's most powerful people breathed a little easier. Did Jeffrey Epstein kill himself, or was he silenced? The answer is locked in the same place as his client list. Subscribe to Covert Case Histories. Next week, the woman who ran Epstein's network and still won't reveal a single name. This is Covert Case Histories, where the truth has no expiration date.